Hi. So I'm here at Nantucket Memorial Airport on Nantucket Island off Cape Cod, and I am packing for my big flight across the country on the route of the Transcontinental Air Race. As you can see, I have quite a bit of gear behind me. I'm going to fit it all into the airplane. I'm also going to weigh it and make sure I'm well within the weight and balance parameters of my plane, which I'm quite sure I will be, since I'll be flying alone. The trip doesn't start officially until I get to Long Island tomorrow morning, which is where the race originally began. So this is more of a warm-up flight. But in any case, I need to make sure everything fits and that I haven't forgotten anything. So let's just do a quick inventory. Over here, cleaning supplies. Plane probably will get dirty. I know it will get dirty in the course of the flight, so I can clean the bugs off the wings, clean the windshield. I've got 2 spare inner tubes. I've got an oil filter because I know I'm going to want to change my oil when I get out to California. I've got a fuel filter in case I buy automobile gas. Never a bad idea to run it through a filter just to remove any contaminants if there are any. I have, of course, the folding bicycle, which some of you may remember from a previous video. That's going to go where the passenger seat normally goes. My flight bag, which has my iPad, my logbook, some Cliff Bars, various charging devices, and that sort of thing. Over here, this is sort of my emergency pile. I've got a fire extinguisher, obviously. I've got 2 satellite locator beacons. This one is the main one. It's called a personal locator beacon, and if by chance I make an unscheduled stop in the Rockies or some other remote area, it will summon help with the push of a button. And I don't anticipate needing it, but never a bad idea to have one along. Same for the life jacket. I'll be flying over some water between here and Long Island, probably flying over a bit of water around Lake Michigan. Of course, most of the time will be over land, so it won't be a factor, but it doesn't weigh much, so I figure there's no harm in having it along. Let's see, other emergency gear. Well, this is also an emergency device of sorts. It's called a Little John, and I think I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't expect to use it very often, if at all, but again, better safe than sorry. Okay, over here, this is going to sort of go in the baggage compartment. It's stuff that I don't really anticipate needing very much, but you never know. I've got some cold weather gear, because it's likely to be chilly out west at night. And also, of course, in the event that you do make an unscheduled stop somewhere in rough, remote terrain, you want to have a way to keep warm. I've also got a sleeping bag in here. I've got a small tent, and again, it's emergency survival gear, but it's also possible that I'll end up camping at a small airstrip somewhere if it's far from a hotel or whatnot. So I just want to be prepared for that contingency. A few other odds and ends, some more snack bars. Over there, that's my tie-down kit in case I have to tie down in the dirt somewhere. On top of it is a hatchet, which I can use as a hammer to pound in the stakes, and of course to ward off grizzly bears and the like, if that becomes necessary. So that's pretty much it. I've got just a small duffel full of clothes, which I'll bring tomorrow when I leave. That's pretty much it in terms of what I'm bringing. In terms of my preparation, just by way of background, this is a long, rather challenging flight for a fairly low-time pilot such as myself. I only have maybe 200 hours, 220 hours, and probably almost half those hours were nearly 40 years ago. I only started flying again in the last 18 months. But I have flown quite a bit in the last year, and pretty comfortable with the avionics and the flight characteristics of this plane. I think when people ask me, do I feel prepared? Can I do it safely? I think the answer to both of those questions is a qualified yes. The main thing I have going for me, I think, is time. I'm in no hurry. If the weather's sketchy, I'll just stay on the ground. There are 20 stops between Long Island and California, and I plan to stop at each one of them And I'm perfectly happy to, you know, spend as much time on the ground as I need to wait for weather conditions to improve. You know, and I have some personal minimums. I probably wouldn't land this thing in a crosswind over, say, 12 knots, even though it's rated at 16. And again, I won't fly in marginal weather because there's no need. And I have a lot of information on my panel about the weather. I have XM weather, which, you know, is great for sort of tracking storms and avoiding any unpleasant weather. Also, on the question of safety, I think that one thing my CFI back in Maryland really drummed into my head was the importance of planning and having adequate information. You know, that means you know, you study the route carefully before you go on the sectional, which I have on my iPad, and you, of course, study the airport, your destination, and so you know the pattern altitude before you get there, you know the traffic pattern, and the runway layout, so there are no surprises there. I might even look at the airports on Google Earth, you know, particularly when I'm out in more rugged terrain out west. I just want to know what the approaches are going to be like. And then the other thing, of course, is always having a plan B. I mean, always have an alternate in mind. You know, if the crosswinds are too gnarly at one place, always have a backup plan. Again, it's important to think it through, and I think I read somewhere, you know, the most important decisions you make as a pilot are the ones you make on the ground, so I'm going to try and bear that in mind. So I'm excited, a little nervous, and I'll check in with you tomorrow from Long Island. Bye.